Play 3. The Bull by Bhimnidhi Tiwari. Summary. Set in the historical context of 1854 BS during the month of Ashwin, the play centers around the lives of the cowherds, Gaur and Jitman, and their encounter with the feudal system under King Rana Bahadur Shah. The opening scene introduces us to the two cowherds, who appear distressed, arriving at the residence of Laxminarayan. Their mission is to convey the unfortunate demise of the king's prized bull, a matter of grave concern given the potential severe consequences that could befall them. Laxminarayan, a character plagued by past experiences of punishment, is instantly filled with fear upon hearing the news. The narrative weaves a palpable sense of apprehension as all three characters grapple with the implications of their situation. The mere prospect of reporting the bull's death to the king could lead to dire punishment, even death itself. This foreshadows a deeper underlying theme, the vulnerability of commoners within a rigid hierarchy. An important motif surfaces as Laxminarayan's fear of being shaved resurfaces, a traumatic event from his past that left a lasting mark on his identity. This narrative detail serves as a symbol of not only physical punishment, but also the psychological scars inflicted upon the powerless by the powerful. As the cowherds recount the bull's death, they attribute it to a lack of nourishment and the inability to digest certain foods. Laxminarayan, recognizing the peril they face, urges them to conceal the bull's death from the king, as he knows the grim fate that awaits them if they reveal the truth. This marks the manipulation of information, highlighting the complex dynamics between the ruling class and the commoners who navigate a world of fear and deceit. Laxminarayan's subsequent visit to the Basantpur palace portrays the dynamics of subservience and fear. His reluctance to directly admit the bull's death showcases his skillful manipulation of words to avoid retribution. This emphasizes how language becomes a tool of survival in a society where truth could lead to severe punishment. When the king decides to assess the bull's condition himself, Laxminarayan rushes ahead to give the cowherds instructions. These instructions to massage the bull's feet and fan it reflect the lengths to which the oppressed go to preserve the status quo, even if it requires pretending. The cowherds' desperate waiting underscores their helplessness, exemplifying the stark divide between the powerless and the mighty. The pivotal moment arrives when the king himself confirms the bull's death. The cowherds' emotional outbursts expose their genuine attachment to the bull, revealing the paradox of how the lower class can hold more genuine sentiment for animals than they are allowed to express for their fellow human beings. The king's tipping gestures symbolize the uneven distribution of power and wealth, with monetary incentives standing as the price for silence. In the play's climax, Laxminarayan's emotional breakdown highlights the internalized suffering of the powerless. The king's scolding reinforces the hierarchy's contempt for those lower down the social ladder. Finally, the cowherd's relieved happiness upon surviving the ordeal exposes the pervasive fear that accompanies living in a feudal society. The bull serves as a vivid depiction of the feudal system's injustices. It mirrors the degradation of the common folk by the ruling class, emphasizes the servitude of those in subservient roles, and underlines the dominance and suppression faced by women. Through its characters and their interactions, the play unveils a world where power and vulnerability intertwine, and where the masses are caught in a web of manipulation and dehumanization. The 1854 BS setting acts as a historical backdrop that magnifies these thematic elements, resonating with audiences on both a historical and universal level. Understanding the text. Answer the following questions. A. Why have Gaur and Jitman come to see Laxminarayan? Gaur and Jitman seek out Laxminarayan to convey the unfortunate demise of King Rana Bahadur Shah's prized bull. Their visit is driven by the need to inform Laxminarayan about the bull's death, which is a matter of great importance given the potential repercussions that could arise from this situation. The two cowherds are likely aware of Laxminarayan's experience with past punishments, and are seeking guidance and support in navigating the delicate and dangerous task of informing the king about the bull's demise. This initial interaction sets the stage for the play's exploration of power dynamics, fear, and the complex relationships between the lower classes and the ruling elite in the feudal society of the time. B. What, according to cowherds, is the reason behind the death of male? The cowherds, Gaur and Jitman, attribute the bull's demise to two key factors. First, They mention that the bull received insufficient nourishment, particularly a shortage of grass, which played a role in its deteriorating health. Second, they emphasize the bull's inability to digest the fine rice and split gram soup it was fed. These explanations not only highlight the significance of proper nutrition in maintaining the well-being of animals, but they also contribute to the central theme of the play, the stark contrast between the lavish lives of the ruling class and the struggles faced by commoners who care for these prized animals. This stark imbalance further underscores the social disparities and the inherent exploitation that underlie the feudal society depicted in the narrative. C. Why does Rana Bahadur want to see the bull himself? King Rana Bahadur's desire to personally inspect the bull's condition is driven by multiple factors. Firstly, as a ruler, he takes personal interest in the well-being of his prized possession, which is the bull. He wishes to assess the extent of the bull's illness and evaluate whether it could potentially recover with appropriate care. This signifies his attachment to the bull and his concern for its health. Secondly, the king's decision to see the bull himself is tied to the specific location. He wants to prevent the bull from being taken to the hill for a change of climate and potential healing. By examining the bull at Thulo Gorcha in Kathmandu, he can ensure that the bull remains under his direct control and receives the care he deems appropriate, thus reinforcing his authority and maintaining his position as the ultimate decision-maker. In this context, King Rana Bahadur's involvement in assessing the bull reflects his role as a powerful figure who holds both the responsibility and the privilege to determine the fate of not only the bull but also those involved in its care. This dynamic illustrates the wider themes of hierarchy and control prevalent in the feudal society portrayed in the play. D. Why does Laxminarayan run ahead of the convoy at Thulo Gaucharan? Laxminarayan's hurried advance ahead of the convoy at Thulo Gaucharan is driven by his understanding of the delicate situation they are in. He aims to preemptively inform the cowherds about the specific actions they need to take to please King Rana Bahadur Shah. Laxminarayan knows that the bull's condition is dire and that the king's inspection is crucial. He believes that by actively tending to the bull and exhibiting care, such as massaging its hind feet and waving a fan, they can create a facade of diligence and concern for the king's prized possession. Laxminarayan's intentions are twofold. He wants to ensure that the cowherds take immediate action to attend to the bull's appearance when the king arrives, and he seeks to prevent any negative consequences that might arise from the king's displeasure. This underscores Laxminarayan's shrewd understanding of the dynamics of power and his efforts to manage the perception of care in a bid to avoid retribution from the king. The urgency in his actions reflects the high stakes of their situation and the precarious balance they must maintain within the feudal system. E. Why do Gaur and Jitman cry when the king declares that Mayal is dead? Gaur and Jitman's tears upon the king's declaration of the bull's death carry complex motivations. Their emotional display is not just an authentic expression of grief, but a calculated response driven by their understanding of the power dynamics at play. Aware of the significance the king places on the bull, they strategically exhibit their attachment to the animal to evoke the king's empathy and avoid potential punishment. Their pretentious weeping serves as a defense mechanism, aimed at securing their own safety in a society where the king's judgments can be harsh and arbitrary. By appearing deeply affected by the bull's demise, they hope to divert blame from themselves and evoke the king's compassion, thus minimizing the risk of retribution. This reflects their deep-seated fear of the king's authority, and underscores the broader theme of the vulnerability of commoners in a hierarchical feudal system. Their feigned sorrow is a reflection of their survival instincts in a society where authenticity takes a backseat to the manipulation of power dynamics. F. How do we learn that the bull is dead? The revelation of the bull's death unfolds through both the accounts of the cowherds and the king's observations. The cowherds, Gaur and Jitman, describe the physical state of the bull by mentioning its drooping tail and still eyes. This portrayal serves as the first hint of the bull's demise, as the cowherds express their knowledge of the bull's condition without explicitly stating its death due to their fear of the king's wrath. The confirmation of the bull's death becomes explicit when King Rana Bahadur Shah himself inspects the bull. He articulates the bull's lifelessness by mentioning its lack of breath, loose tail, and drooping ears. The king's words serve as the final verdict on the bull's fate, as his position as the ultimate authority in the hierarchy leaves no room for dispute or interpretation. The convergence of these accounts, from both the cowherds and the king, provides a comprehensive portrayal of the bull's death. This sequence of events underscores the thematic exploration of power dynamics, fear, and the stark disparities between the ruling class and the ordinary people within the feudal society depicted in the play. G. How does the play make a satire on the feudal system? The Bull employs satire to expose the injustices inherent in the feudal system. The play depicts the cowherds' lives ruled by fear, revealing the suppression, dominance, and dehumanization prevalent in this societal structure. The stark contrast between the treatment of the Lord's prized bull and the cowherds highlights the system's skewed priorities, where animals receive more care and respect than the oppressed workers. The cowherd's pretense to avoid punishment underscores the hypocrisy and cruelty of the feudal system. Through these elements, the play satirizes the feudal order, shedding light on its exploitation and devaluation of ordinary individuals, effectively critiquing the power dynamics and injustices within this hierarchical framework. H. Write down the plot of the play in a paragraph. Set in 1854 BS, during the month of Ashwin, the play, The Bull, revolves around two cowherds, Gaur and Jitman, who urgently inform Laxminarayan about the death of King Rana Bahadur Shah's prized bull. Fearing the consequences, Laxminarayan advises them to hide the truth from the king. Laxminarayan himself goes to the king to inform about the bull's illness without explicitly stating its death. King Rana Bahadur decides to visit and examine the bull at Thulo Gaucharan. Laxminarayan rushes ahead to instruct the cowherds to tend to the bull to please the king. The king observes the bull's lifeless state, and despite the cowherd's pretense, he declares the bull dead. Their emotional outbursts ensue, and the king rewards them with tips. The play satirizes the feudal system, showcasing power dynamics, fear, and the stark disparities between classes within this societal structure. Reference to the context. A. Discuss the late 18th century Nepali society, as portrayed in terms of the relation between the king and his subjects as portrayed in the play. In the late 18th century Nepali society depicted in The Bull, the monarchy held dominion under the Shah dynasty. The society was rigid and marked by limited freedoms. People lived under the rule of the king and the aristocracy, resulting in a harsh and fearful existence for the commoners. The Bull vividly portrays this environment of subjugation and fear, where ordinary lives were controlled by the ruling elite. The play illustrates the harsh treatment of subjects by their lords, showcasing the severe consequences of defying their authority. Rituals like bowing down, swasthai, were expected as signs of submission, reflecting the unequal power balance. Fundamental rights were non-existent, and political awareness was low. Gender dynamics were patriarchal, with women under male dominance and instances of polygamy, as depicted through Laxminarayan's multiple wives. The play serves as a stark commentary on the oppressive nature of the late 18th century Nepali society, revealing the extent to which the lives of ordinary people were dictated by the whims of kings and lords. B. What does the relation between Laxminarayan and his wives tell us about the society of that time? To what extent has the Nepali society changed since then? Laxminarayan's relationships with his multiple wives offer a glimpse into the deeply patriarchal society of the time. His polygamous marriages and derogatory nicknames for his wives illustrate the unequal power dynamics, and women's subservient roles prevalent in the society. During that era, marrying several women was common, reflecting the society's male-centric perspective where women were confined within domestic boundaries, dependent on men due to factors like illiteracy, child marriage, and feudalism. Since then, Nepali society has undergone significant transformation. Women's conditions have improved notably, with increased awareness, literacy, and rights. The present society contrasts starkly with the past. Women are now empowered and independent. The Nepali constitution guarantees gender equality, granting women equal opportunities. Women have risen to prominent roles across sectors, eroding male domination. Laws penalizing mistreatment of women emphasize the shift towards empowerment. Various institutions work for women's rights and welfare, leading to substantial changes in societal attitudes and practices. Laxminarayan's relationships exemplify the historical patriarchal norms, While the evolution of Nepali society showcases marked progress in women's status, rights, and empowerment. C. Shed light on the practice of chakari as portrayed in the play. Have you noticed this practice in your society? During Nepal's monarchy, the practice of chakari was prevalent, where people sought favor by serving and pleasing their kings, leaders, and lords. This practice aimed to secure benefits and advancement in society. In the play, The Bull, the concept of chakari is evident as characters engage in servile behavior to appease King Rana Bahadur Shah. The protagonist, Laxminarayan, is familiar with chakari due to past experiences of punishment for disrespecting the king. When the bull dies, the cowherds and Laxminarayan engage in elaborate acts of chakari to keep the king satisfied and avoid punishment. This theme reflects the fear and flattery that characterized relationships under the monarchy. Similarly, in my society, the practice of chakari is observable, though with differences from the historical context. People often engage in various forms of favor-seeking behavior, particularly towards politicians. This underscores the lingering influence of power dynamics and the desire for personal gain. While the nature of chakari has evolved, remnants of this practice still persist, reflecting the enduring impact of historical norms on contemporary behaviors. D. How does Laxminarayan outsmart Rana Bahadur? Laxminarayan cunningly outsmarts Rana Bahadur through his strategic approach. As a legal officer and bull doctor, he swiftly responds to news of the king's bull's death brought by Gaur and Jitman. Aware of the potential consequences, he employs flattery to manipulate the situation. Instead of directly revealing the bull's death, he carefully narrates the bull's illness, skillfully avoiding the king's potential anger. While en route to the cowshed, he instructs the cowherds to perform actions that impress the king, like massaging and fanning the bull. This calculated behavior creates the illusion of proper care. When the king inspects the bull and deduces its death, Laxminarayan's manipulation ensures the king doesn't question them, thus averting the punitive consequences they could have faced. Laxminarayan's crafty tactics effectively safeguard them from the king's wrath. E. Sketch the character of Laxminarayan. Laxminarayan Dahol, a pivotal figure in the one-act play, is a multifaceted character. Aged 40, he holds the roles of both a legal officer and a bull doctor for King Rana Bahadur Shah. Despite being married to 7 women, Laxminarayan remains discontented and even contemplates marrying an 8th. When confronted with news of the king's bull's demise, his astute mind and shrewdness come to the fore. Aware of the king's penchant for flattery, chakari, Laxminarayan strategically avoids directly informing the king of the bull's death, aiming to preserve his and the cowherds' lives. As the king inspects the bull, Laxminarayan's calculated orders to the cowherds, Gaur and Jitman, to perform actions that impress the king reveal his cleverness. His skillful manipulation and witty acts lend a humorous dimension to the play. Ultimately, Laxminarayan's quick thinking and resourcefulness succeed in preventing the king's punitive repercussions, making him the central figure who has outsmarted the king through his adroit tactics and flattery. Reference beyond the text. A. Write an essay in about 300 words on the Nepali society, past, present and future. The Nepali society, past, present, and future. Society, as a cohesive group bound by shared culture and norms, is a dynamic entity that evolves over time. The Nepali society, marked by its diversity and cultural richness, has undergone significant transformations from the past to the present, and envisions a promising future ahead. Looking back to the past, Nepali society was characterized by rigidity and inequality. Uneducated masses lived under the dominance of feudal lords, enduring a life of hardship and limited opportunities. Patriarchal norms confined women within domestic spheres, denying them agency and freedom. The feudal system perpetuated class and gender subjugation, while lack of awareness compounded the challenges. Child marriage and absence of basic facilities marred the quality of life. In the present, Nepal is amidst a transformational phase. Society has experienced positive changes in various sectors. Infrastructure development, including electricity, roads, and education, has improved people's lives. Constitutional provisions have granted citizens rights and opportunities, uplifting the status of women. However, the political landscape remains volatile, tarnishing the otherwise positive trajectory. Looking forward, the future of Nepali society holds promise if right choices are made. Political engagement should be principled and focused on societal well-being, moving away from personal gains. Education and awareness must continue to be prioritized, enabling citizens to make informed decisions. Empowering women, eradicating patriarchal norms, and ensuring equal opportunities for all should remain central goals. In conclusion, the journey of the Nepali society has been marked by significant shifts from a rigid, unequal past to a more inclusive present. Society is poised for a brighter future, contingent upon collective efforts to prioritize development, women's empowerment, and effective governance. As citizens, our responsibility lies in shaping a society that values progress, equality, and the welfare of all its members. In his Satire 9, Nicholas Boileau says, "But satire, ever moral, ever new, delights the reader and instructs him, too. She, if good sense, refine her sterling page, oft shakes some rooted folly of the age." Do you agree with the poet? Discuss the lines with reference to Bhimnidhi Tiwari's play, The Bull. In his work, Satire 9, Nicholas Boileau presents satire as a powerful tool that not only entertains but also educates readers. He suggests that satire, with its blend of wit and moral insight, holds the ability to bring about self-awareness and change by exposing societal follies. This assertion resonates with the essence of Bhimnidhi Tiwari's play, The Bull, which effectively utilizes satire to shed light on the prevalent power dynamics, inequalities, and dehumanizing practices of Nepali society. Boileau's idea that satire is ever moral aligns with how The Bull uses humor to critique the feudal system's injustices. The play portrays the subjugation of ordinary people like the cowherds by their lord, Laxminarayan. Through satirical elements, the playwright unveils the stark contrast between the care and respect afforded to the king's prized bull and the harsh reality faced by the cowherds. This highlights the moral issue of prioritizing animal welfare over human dignity. Furthermore, Boileau's notion of satire being ever new resonates in The Bull as it remains relevant across time. While set in the past, the themes of societal suppression, fear of authority, and exploitation of the weak are universally relatable. The play's satirical approach not only entertains, but also engages the audience in contemplation about the persistence of such issues in various contexts. The concept of satire refining her sterling page relates to The Bull as it exposes deeply rooted flaws in the social structure. Laxminarayan's manipulation of the king to avoid punishment exemplifies the farcical nature of power dynamics. The play underscores how societal norms and values can perpetuate injustice, urging reflection and reform. Boileau's assertion about the dual nature of satire, its capacity to amuse and instruct, is strongly reflected in The Bull. Bhimnidhi Tiwari's play effectively employs satire to critique the feudal system's inequalities and abuses, making it both entertaining and thought-provoking. The play's enduring relevance demonstrates how satire can uncover and challenge entrenched societal follies, encouraging readers to engage critically with their own contexts and seek positive change. Best of luck.